Hey guys, this is Jon Blau with the Herald Times. I'm here with Jeremy Price after what is the score?
66-54.
You got it. Win over number 11 Ohio State. So as bad as everyone probably felt after Northwestern, this is like a complete 180 turn. I mean, who was expecting this?
Yeah, I think you felt nothing, very little positive coming out of Northwestern, and then today is completely the opposite, that you finally got the kind of performance that you've been really looking for a while from this team.
Yeah, and it wasn't just, one player playing really well. It wasn't even Trace Jackson Davis, who has, been the star in a lot of these games early in Big Ten play. It was Devontae Green, the one guy who we were talking about, 0-6 from the floor against Northwestern, not in the game at the very end when they make their rally. He has 19 points, hits 5 of 8. Coach Archie Miller said that he had some talks with him about, his effort level in practice and being consistent and unselfish and playing the right way, and it seemed like he did for the most part today.
Came off the bench today. Rob Finney got the start. Devontae Green comes off the bench, so that was something a little bit different. But I don't know. This is what you get with Devontae Green, and particularly in the second half. I mean, the first half was nothing to write home about for Devontae in any way, shape, or form, really. But in the second half, he comes to life, and that's really what you're looking for, and I think that's why coming off the bench is the role that's probably best suited for him, because he's kind of a guy that can give you some instant offense, and if it's just not working, then scrap that and go back to the starters. But you just need a spark or something, and so you hope that Devontae Green gives it to you when you need it, and today he did. Arguably, really, probably his second best game of the season behind Florida State.
Right. And the guy who started in front of him was Rob Finney, and he got the loudest ovation you could tell from the starters. And I wonder if that's part because they love Rob and the energy that he gives, and then part, I'm happy there's been a change after the last game. But, I mean, they ended up needing both of them. I mean,
yes.
and Finney was the guy who really got them going. I mean, hitting those three-pointers early in the first half, got some energy in the building, and then all of a sudden, it felt like a game you could win. And that was just way different from a lot of these other games where they've kind of struggled through it.
Yeah, and I think there was sort of an energy to begin with, and that you don't always get with a noon type game. And some of that had to do with Indiana needing to win. Obviously, I think a lot of it had to do with people speculating whether Bob Knight was going to make an appearance or not. But for whatever it was, people were a little bit on edge and looking for a reason to get excited, whatever that was. Mm-hmm. And it didn't turn out to be because of Bob Knight, because he didn't show. But the team actually gave them something to get excited about, and kind of got behind the team early, like you said, with those early threes from Rob Finney.
And Rob Finney is just kind of gutting it out. You can tell he's still dealing with an issue. I think it's that abdominal issue that he's been dealing with. And he had to even be checked on later in the second half, but he kept playing, and so he's kind of been a warrior for him. And then also just, not points-wise, but Joey Brunk and even Deron Davis, for what they were able to do underneath the basket against Caleb Wesson. He finishes with 15 points, but 9 of those came from three-pointers, and another 2 came from the free throw line. Right. So the fact that Caleb Wesson doesn't, I think in Archie Miller's words, he said maul. Mm-hmm. They've been mauled by this guy the first 2 years, and to not get mauled by him and to really just suffer your damage beyond the arc, a lot goes to Joey Brunk and even Deron Davis and a little bit Race Thompson in terms of what they were able to do against him.
Yeah, and part of that is in the past, Deron Davis is really the only guy who's been able to physically match up in any way, shape, or form with Caleb Wesson. When Indiana's at the last 2 years at times been playing with Juwan Morgan at center, that's obviously a colossal mismatch when Caleb Wesson gets the ball in the post, and so that's been a huge, huge problem for this Indiana team today. There were some dig downs and things, but by and large, they kind of let Caleb Wesson go one-on-one and stayed with the other guys and determined that if Caleb Wesson was going to hurt them, then he was going to have to earn it, basically. And I thought, first of all, I think Indiana did a good job, but I also thought Ohio State's offense definitely was just off today. There was some real indecisiveness from some guys that were driving and trying to force passes, and guys passing up shooting opportunities. And if you thought Indiana looked out of sync the other night against Northwestern, Ohio State was very much in that same mold at times today, particularly in the second half when they only scored 20 points.
Yeah. And they've been struggling shooting the ball the last even 3 games. They came in with a 3-game losing streak, and I think they had hit about 30-something%. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but I had it in my story. Just go back and read what I wrote. And they shot, 32.7%. I think that's the number at the end of the day today.
Yeah, and most of that was in the first half.
Yeah, because they shot 21.4% in the second half. So part of that you have to give IU credit for the way they play defense. Also partially just the team that Archie Miller's talked about it. Everybody's going to have their ups and downs in this conference, how crazy it is, and they're definitely in one. They're kind of in a rut as they came here.
Yeah, and this wasn't a perfect performance by Indiana at all. As a matter of fact, the first half was sort of deja vu all over again. Indiana builds a 9-point lead, and all of a sudden, the next thing you know, they're going 7, 8, 9 minutes, whatever, without a field goal.
From 9:57 on.
Yeah, they making free throws was all they got that last part of the first half. I think they had 25 points in the first 10 minutes and 6 in the last 10 minutes of the first half, basically.
Yeah.
So, vintage in that sense. But the difference was, first of all, Indiana came out in the second half, put together an 8-0 run to take the lead, and there was a mini drought there, but it was only, I think, 4 minutes without a field goal, something like that in the second half, which I guess compared to almost 10 minutes is progress.
Yeah, and free throws. If you want to get on the negative side of things, free throws, they hit 20 of 36. If they had lost that game, you would have been pointing to that one factor.
Oh, no doubt.
Obviously, there would have been other factors because they did have leads, and they would have had to have broken down defensively, which they did not do. But yeah, free throws, they got to hit their free throws.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is they won this game by 12. If they make, you don't have to make all your free throws. You make just a reasonable percentage. Yeah. You're winning this game by 20-plus points.
Right, which is crazy to think about. And I guess we've already talked about this a little bit, but just to flesh it out more, we obviously talked about the rotation maybe shortening coming into this game. That did not happen at all.
No. Other than Demezy Anderson was sick. That was your shortening of the rotation.
So all 10 available scholarship players, they played. And
although the second half was a little tighter.
A little tighter.
I don't think Armand Franklin even played in the second half.
No, and I don't think Race Thompson
saw a few minutes, but it was not a lot.
Yeah, so it did tighten down in the second half a little bit, but he's showing still definitely a willingness to play everyone and give them their chance to play. And it seems like that where he was talking about shortening the rotation was as much a threat as anything. Mm-hmm. And it seems like maybe the team responded to it well because he said as long as you're out there playing hard, you'll play.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like there was more of an intensity level from the guys. So, I mean, maybe they responded. And I think Jerome Hunter was one of the ones he was really high on.
Yeah, I think to that end, I think Jerome Hunter was the guy that really maybe doesn't stand out in terms of points scored or doing anything super spectacular, but I thought he looked more connected, more fit in this game just a little bit more, and Archie put a little bit more trust in him. I mean, it's a single-digit game in the last 4 minutes, and Jerome Hunter's out there on the floor. That's something new. That's something different that we haven't seen before. And so that says something about his progress and maybe him finding other ways to be active within the game besides just shooting the ball.
Yeah, because Justin Smith was 2 of 11, and he played the most minutes of anybody, but you needed to take him off the floor at times. Jerome Hunter was able to,
Also shifted Justin Smith to the 4, partly because of foul trouble with Trace Jackson-Davis and Joey Brunk.
Right.
So just switched Justin to the 4 and left Jerome at the 3 some as well.
Right. And Al Durham had foul trouble. He only ended up playing about 17 minutes. But Trace, 27, Joey, 26. Devontae ended up playing 29 minutes. And Rob Finney's 29 was a season high.
Yeah.
So he was able to gut it out and do all that. So, it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. But this is, again, just a huge boost for this team and everybody who's watching this team. I would think it's just taking a little bit of the cynicism out of things for a second. Because I think things were getting pretty negative after the Northwestern game.
And I think a lot of that stems back to what happened last year with the losing 12 of 13 games that everybody's like, oh, here we go again, good non-conference, and then reality sets in. And obviously the blowout losses at Maryland and at Wisconsin are a big reason why people feel that way. And obviously the fact that before today your home games were Nebraska and Northwestern, nothing to write home about, and you struggled in them.
Right.
So to get this one today was big to sort of put the kibosh on this idea that, oh no, here we go again, the streak is about to ensue, because Indiana goes on the road for the next week at Rutgers and at Nebraska, and you drop this one, and those two are not going to be easy games by any stretch of the imagination. So, you can see where that would come into play. So this was important to develop some confidence, to develop some belief, to get something in a positive manner going before the road trip.
Right. All right. So anything else you want to add? I think that was everything I wanted to cover.
Yeah, I mean that's the main thing. Now Indiana goes on the road where Big Ten teams are hugely unsuccessful this season.
Yeah.
If they lose these next two, it's not the end of the world. It really wouldn't be a surprise. I think it would be a little disappointing, though.
I think you want to split.
I think you want to at least get a split out of these two.
I think you want to split. Obviously, Rutgers, I think, has proven to be tougher than everybody thought they were, and I think Nebraska, too. But I think you should be able to beat one of those teams. Beating both would be a pretty big deal for IU. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Thanks for listening. We'll see you around.